month 17, reflection 14. Month 17. Oh my God, man. Anyway,
Yeah, time has flown.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, for the first time, I think since we actually like started the business, apart from maybe one other instance, we didn't record a reflection last month. Um, that was obviously kind of a factor of it being one of the busiest, if not the busiest time in the retail calendar. And then also, um, you know, having end of year kind of catch ups with clients and partners and just being out in market. So, unfortunately, didn't get the time in to do that. But yeah, I guess we'll just take the opportunity to wrap up the year and talk about what was a very interesting sales period. So look, I think we left off the last catch up in October, kind of expecting it to be a pretty, significant period just because of the fact that the rest of the year maybe didn't live up to our expectations in terms of like the different retail milestones throughout the year. So, end of financial year, prime days, after days, etc. So yeah, man, keen to hear, obviously like managing different accounts between the two of us and working across multiple verticals, keen to hear what you think or how you think kind of everything went and what your takeaways are for November.
Yeah. In terms of Black Friday and how it went, I think one of the key things that stood out to me was you could come in with, or the clients that we had could come in with as aggressive an offer as they can, but it felt like customers were still choosing the brands that they recognize and the brands that have a long-standing presence within the market or the space. So without delving too much into specifics, we've got a couple of emerging challenger brands in the beauty and sort of homeware, sort of retail type space, who saw very, very good performance in relation to their campaigns, and the uplifts were really significant. Talk of, doing a month's worth of sales in, 3 or 4 days in some cases is always very, very good. But in terms of still shifting the needle to like a new tier of acquisition, we didn't really see that for the smaller emerging brands. Again, very specific to the clients that we work with.
Mm.
And yet the bigger brands in a slightly different category, that a category you probably wouldn't expect to rely too much on Black Friday, and actually was a decision we worked with on the client as to whether we actually played during Black Friday because of the amount of noise around it.
Yeah.
The category that we were in not necessarily um, resonating with audiences at that time. It's not a purchase you'd think to make in Black Friday.
Mm.
But we made a decision fairly last minute to play, and it paid off quite
Oh, cool.
significantly. So that also taught me that irrespective of what industry you're in and whether you think it is or isn't going to land, customers are just in a purchase mindset at that time,
Yeah.
irrespective of where you're playing, and they're very deal focused. So
Mm.
yes, I imagine there are a lot of other industries that saw a huge amount of uplift in comparison to what we saw, but in the context of that client's campaign, we still saw really, really good results,
Mm.
irrespective of the fact it wasn't a period of time that we earmarked as a key focus for us, because like I said, we just didn't expect customers to be looking for that
Yeah.
type of product at that time. So yeah, they were the two things that sort of stood out
Mm.
to me.
Yeah, for sure. I think we did a lot of pre-planning for that period, which everyone does, but I think we kind of got a step forward on it because we had kind of let ourselves down in a lot of ways, kind of chasing our own tail for the remainder of the year and missing out on key kind of inventory and coverage opportunities. Um, Basically, that those dominoes kind of falling one after another. As soon as we caught up at the half year point, I just said, guys, like we need to start thinking about it right now, and we
Yeah.
need to get ahead of the curve. And what we actually found is and just because the client was kind of behind target as well, in around that kind of October period, we actually went harder a lot earlier,
Right.
and it put a lot less pressure on that weekend to
Yeah.
deliver a significant amount of sales. There's always this kind of struggled to find a balance between, and this is throughout the year, a balance between um, the incentives that brand is putting into market by their retail strategy, and then balancing that with what we're doing in channel to make sure that we're not eroding their margin completely, right? And
Yeah.
you don't want to get into a habit of, you know, selling product at no profit and kind of conditioning that behavior that we were talking about in market before. So we went particularly hard maybe like in October, but then kind of 2 weeks prior to the sale happening. And we actually had like coverage locked in, but fluid CPA for Black Friday that was dependent on how we went over the course of those first 2 weeks in November. And
Right.
to be honest, like we crushed it over that period of time, thanks to some like honestly some really great collaboration with partners. I think that's probably one of the things I enjoy about our space the most is that everyone's very opportunity focused and like no stones really left unturned. And you know, it's a everyone can kind of win,
Mm.
you know, in collaboration. So yeah, we got a lot done in those first 2 weeks, and then we got to the weekend and thought, okay, cool. And the client actually made a really good point about this post campaign period. Um, if by that time people haven't caught on to the sales that have happened previously, they're definitely buying something that weekend because they're
Mm.
thinking this is the last opportunity I have to buy something for it to be
Yep.
on sale. Um, it's that entrenched behavior. It's also increasingly become the sale that everyone in market is waiting for, right? Like we talked about in the financial year, not having the kind of or kind of delivering the kind of joy that I guess like we traditionally expect in the calendar, Boxing Day not having that kind of impact that it used to have. If this is the moment, that is the point that you know you can bank on the rest of your customers kind of shopping with you. So
Yeah.
or any in market customers shopping with you. So we brought our incentive down in comparison to what we had for the rest of the period over the weekend, knowing that people would come to us, and it paid off. Particularly, like super interestingly, on the Friday itself. So even though we had the same commercials over the weekend, you know, from Friday to Cyber Monday, the end of Cyber Monday, Friday was the biggest day because again, it's just an event that people gear up for and excited for and assume that that is the one day that you know we're going to have they're going to get the best deal. So yeah, really like really interesting strategy. And I don't think it's something I just think that Black Friday is just such an interesting phenomenon because
Yeah.
it worked this year, but I wouldn't like say to myself, and I think like I would advocate for brands not taking a complacent approach or uh like a drop and drag and drop kind of approach to Black
Yeah.
Friday strategy. It's just like every year you have to kind of look at how not only year on year performance, but like how this year's kind of unfolded and how
Yeah.
you're pacing against target and how, you know, like micro and macro factors. Um, and then you make a call depending on what the business needs and what you're seeing in market. Um, it's I think next year, like I've been looking at sentiment around sales, and I think there's a lot about regret around purchasing things that people don't need. There's a lot around like
Yeah.
people being underwhelmed by the sales period, even though they spent a lot of money, being underwhelmed by the offers that are out there. Um, the never-ending kind of retail and sales cycle means that you can pretty much get a good deal at any time on any given product or service. So I think things are kind of changing a lot. But for this year, that definitely worked
Do you worry
that
that
weekend.
the sales period itself will just shift into a longer phase of time? Because even your point around starting 2 weeks before, I think Amazon launched their sale like at least 10, it might have
True.
even been 2 weeks as well. It's 10 days, 2 weeks, but it was very early. A few other brands did it. Is it going to get like the New Year's Day sales used to be the time, and then it transferred into Boxing Day, which was like a week earlier, and and now people
It's a
just go
very
live
good
with
point.
Boxing Day sales pre-Christmas. Like,
Yeah,
do you
yeah.
think that will happen?
It's a very good point. And the analogy that just came to mind for me is that my partner and I just saw hot cross buns on shelves at Audi and Easter's in April. So I feel like
Yeah,
I feel like it's the same phenomenon. It's just like, you know, in the lead up to things, people are so opportunistic that they'll just kind of, it's like Christmas decorations going on shelves in July or whatever.
yeah.
And, yeah, that's the nature of like the capitalist cycle. Everyone's trying to get in first and trying to make the most of the period. I would recommend against that. I think both of us are
Yeah,
like have an opinion that you need to have retail tactics and affiliate tactics that are sustainable, that mean that you control demand for your product as much as you can in a very dynamic market versus, you know, um, having that very inelastic relationship with demand. So I, yeah, I'm hopeful that like that won't be the case and that we will have like those kind of fixed periods for um to kind of plan against. Although I don't think that's going to be the case. I think it'll just be
yeah,
it's just getting increasingly fragmented and dynamic, and it makes it a fun market because it just means
yeah.
that like you can always make something happen. But it makes it definitely harder to plan and to forecast for outcomes being delivered at certain times of the year.
It's such a balance, and it, like you said, pleasingly, the brand you're talking about still saw the highest return on the actual Black Friday itself, which kind of goes against the question that we just asked. But then we always talk to clients, especially clients new to market, in the context of affiliate about paradox of choice, all of that stuff. And it kind of goes against the grain of what we advise of if you hold out for Black Friday, but
Yeah,
all your competition have gone live 2 weeks earlier, are they going to pick your competitors prior to the day that they actually hold it out
yeah,
for and you go live?
yeah.
So it's a tricky one, that one. Something we'll
It
have to really think about
it
because
really is. It really is.
it's a
Um,
contradiction on either side to it.
yeah, yeah,
Well, when the learnings for Australia come out, like we were saying before, there's already some coming out of America, and the signs are
yeah.
very, very positive. But doesn't look like there's too much been released yet relating to the Aussie market specifically. But I guess when that does come out, that will put a little bit more meat on the bones of
Yeah,
what we saw versus what the kind of macro market saw, and just helps for planning for next year, I suppose.
it does indeed. And I guess on that note, that's it for 2025, man.
Yeah, man. What's to use the word reflect in our reflection? How do you reflect on the year just gone, and what are you looking forward to next year?
Man, it has been I think last year was like, and we started the business in July in 24. So, half of the year was a big, steep learning curve. And while I'd say even this week, we learn new things every day, and there's highs and lows every single day. I think the growth trajectory is just like we have really high expectations for ourselves and of this business. And I think the more that I take a step back and just look at our business in the context of the broader market and, looking at other SMEs and trend data and probably more realistic expectations, I think, wow, we've grown so much this year. And, we continue to make great decisions despite the pressure and the yeah, like the emotion and exhilaration you have and adrenaline, sorry, I should say you have when you run a business. I think we're getting a lot smarter, a lot more composed, and because of that, ironically, we're growing a lot faster as opposed to kind of sending out a million notes and scrambling and scrapping, even though we've got that hunger and we will have that hunger, I think, until the day that this isn't a thing that we work on. But um, it's it's such a weird feeling, but to almost take a step back to move 5 steps forward, I think is like the mantra for this year. And I think every like last year we hit a ceiling and we broke through that this year, and I think this year we've kind of reached a new level, and I'm looking forward to smashing through that next year for sure. But yeah, that's me, man. What about you? I'm keen to hear what your
Couldn't
thoughts are.
couldn't have said it better myself, I think. Yeah, I think when you're in the rat race of growing a business and aggressively going after clients and winning business and making sure you're doing a good job to keep your clients happy, and you lose sight of where you were to where you are. And even up into December, it's been so busy with existing and new clients that we haven't really taken stock of where we are. But just doing a couple of exercises this week, and yeah, bit of admin stuff, but you take stock of where we were last year in this period, and we had a very different outlook on the business in a positive way. I think we were probably a little bit naive and
Yeah,
yeah, a little bit green. But I'm with you. I think current clients are happy, and that's firstly the most important thing. And then I think we've shown really, really positive growth, and I think the channel was in a really good space. I was having a conversation with an extremely reputable person in market yesterday, and he made a great point that even something as basic as the term affiliate is coming back into vogue, when for so long it was such a dirty word that you didn't say. It was
yeah,
performance and partnerships and all
yeah,
this. It seems
yeah,
that affiliate is coming back into the vocabulary as a positive sentiment rather than a sketchy one. So I think business is in a good place. I think the market is in a really good place. I still think it would be great to see more emerging, challenging partners coming into the market. I
yeah,
think
yeah,
the guys that we work with now are absolutely fantastic, and we never want that to change. But I think healthy competition is always a good thing, and
yeah,
maybe seeing more partners pop up, and maybe the unlocking of the influencer channel would kind of create that and disrupt that. But at least from our perspective, as of yet, that's starting to take shape, but still has a really long way to go. It would be
yeah,
great to see the established partner categories get some challenger, affiliates coming in and shaking it up a bit more.
yeah, yeah,
Um, but yeah, man, it's been when you actually think about the year at macro level, both more market than business, like so much has gone on.
yeah,
And it's definitely been one of the more wild years I've had in affiliate,
yeah,
which has just coincided with it being the first year of Cam as well, which
yeah,
is mad. But yeah, it's been great, but hopefully more to come next year, and we're ready for it.
for sure, sure. What a great way to summarize a great year.